Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kimberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. Experts like psychologists, forensic pathologists, and other experts can add an interesting dimension to a crime novel. After all, police and attorneys and so on don't know everything. So these experts add that information, and they can be interesting for the reader, too. Let's take a look at a novel that uses expertise today and turn the spotlight on Nina Atwood's The Expert Witness. Dr. Jill Rhodes is a Dallas-based psychotherapist. One day during a session, one of her clients, defense attorney Michael Fisher, tells her of a case that's upsetting him. It seems that 15-year-old Sean Thayer has been accused of murdering his good friend Katie Ramsey, also 15 years old. There is clear circumstantial evidence against him, but Fisher believes his client is innocent. Besides, Sean has a spectrum disorder, and although he's high functioning and brilliant at science, he is vulnerable, and the process of an arrest, trial, and possible imprisonment would be devastating for him. Michael asks Jill if she'll work with Sean to try and find out what really happened. She's very reluctant at first, not being a forensic psychologist. What's more, she has little experience with the legal system, so she's at a disadvantage. But she's finally persuaded to at least talk to the people involved. It's not long before Jill learns that this is going to be a difficult case. For one thing, almost everyone assumes Sean is guilty. That includes the police who've been investigating the case, as well as neighbors and other witnesses. For another, it's going to be a challenge to engage Sean in his own defense. Not only is he on the spectrum, but he blames himself for Katie's death, even though he has trouble expressing and explaining what happened. Still, if he's innocent, he shouldn't go to prison. And even if he is guilty, putting him in a regular prison might literally mean his death. So Jill starts asking questions. The more Jill learns, the more convinced she becomes that Sean may not be guilty, and that Katie's life was more complicated than it seemed on the surface. Gradually, as she peels away the layers, Jill finds out Katie's secrets and she discovers the truth about her murder. So what are the elements in the novel? How does it all fit together? Jill is an experienced psychologist, so she's skilled at interacting with even reluctant witnesses. We follow along as she meets the people in Katie's and Sean's lives and gets them to talk to her. She's not always successful, as she's no superhero. But it's interesting to see how she works. We learn about her, too. She's single, although she has a partner. And although there are allusions to sadness in her past, she's functioning and doesn't wallow in her own personal life. Katie's murder is an active investigation, so we also see how Jill interacts with the pair of detectives who are in charge of the case. One, Detective Rick Stone, assumes Sean's guilt and isn't interested at all in anything Jill might have to say. The other, Detective Nick Webb, also thinks Sean's guilty, but he feels for Sean and is aware of the damage that a trial and imprisonment might do to the boy. Still, he has to go where the evidence leads. On the one hand, Jill knows that she is a civilian and she respects the police as professionals. On the other, she trusts her own psychologist's instincts and doesn't want to give up. So she clashes with the police at times. Still, they do find a way to work together. The story is told in third person, past tense, mostly from Jill's point of view, but also, interestingly, partly from Sean's. So we get to see how a young person on the spectrum might see the world. There's a touch of the thriller element, as there is real danger for several characters, some narrow escapes, a race against time, and a killer who could be targeting several people. That said, the story isn't overly gritty, and it's not really explicit, although there are references to some very ugly things. The Expert Witness is a story of a young girl's murder and the people around her whose lives are affected by it. It features a look at the way psychologists work, a case that's more complex and dangerous than it seems, and a protagonist who's doing her best to protect a vulnerable boy. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kimberg. Thanks for watching.